If you know that a disaster is heading your way or it's just got started, there's several things that you want to do as quickly as possible. Making contact with loved ones, making sure they're safe and that they know what to do next, and gathering as much information about the situation as possible. Those are some of the first things to come to mind. But you should also be gathering and collecting additional water for as long as your water utilities are running. And that's true even if you have a considerable amount of water stored, which we all should. I mean, we should store as much water as we possibly can, but it's still wise to try to gather some additional water if at all possible. For one, we don't know how long the situation is going to last. That also, even though we consider 1 gallon of water per person per day to be sort of the general rule, I mean, the bottom line is your average person uses much more water than that per day. That's especially true if you're dealing with warmer weather and you're having to replenish your fluids a lot more than what you normally would. Even if you try to ration water, which of course we should in a disaster situation, it's still wise to look ahead towards the possibility that you're going to use more water than what you initially expected to. And one very easy thing that anybody can do is just fill up things like bowls and pitchers with water. Everybody has those lying around their kitchen, and filling those up can add a considerable amount of water to your water storage. Things that have lids, those are going to be preferable because it's going to make it easier to keep things like bugs and other debris out of that. If you have containers that you want to use that don't have lids, of course you can just take something like a plate, flip it upside down, put it over the top, provided it's big enough to cover the whole thing. But it is very important to understand that if you fill up those containers after your water system may have experienced damage, then you need to go ahead and boil that water or run it through a good water filtration system that's capable of removing biological contaminants. Things like low water pressure, they are a good indication your system has experienced damage, and you need to go ahead and boil that water regardless of if you have received an official boil water notice from your local authorities. Collapsible water containers are another good option, especially if you don't have much room for water storage. In years past, I've used a collapsible water container from Reliance, but a new company has come along that has a lot of good options. Wolverine Tuff has several different sizes of bags and different accessories, and they've sent several of them for us to take a look at today, so I'd like to thank them for sending those out and for sponsoring this video. Their camper package comes with 5.3 gallon, 1 gallon, and 750 milliliter containers. All of these are made of strong BPA-free plastic. The larger 5.3 gallon containers and 1 gallon containers have grommets and handles on each end to make them easier to hang up and to carry. And you can also pick up a 2.6 gallon container, and it has a lot of the same features as the larger 5.3 gallon container, just in a smaller size. The 750 milliliter bottle is a good size to keep in something like your bug out bag or an EDC pack. It'll just give you an additional container that you can keep clean water in. It has a grommet and a carabiner attached to it so that you can use those to secure the bottle to your pack. And all of the containers can stand upright when they have water in them. The small water bottle has a traditional squirt style top, while the larger containers have both spouts for dispensing water and swivel caps for keeping on the containers while you're doing something like transporting them, so that you won't accidentally spill the water out of them. And Wolverine also has some other accessories that you can add to the bags to help make them a little bit more versatile. Like it has a shower head attachment that you can attach to your bags to kind of convert them into a camp shower. Because remember, the bags do have grommets on them, so you can hang them upside down. Then also, if you have things like Sawyer filters, you can order this 3/8" tubing accessory that you can attach to those filters so that you can convert your bags into sort of a gravity filter. I know Sawyer has its own gravity filter, but if you already got the filters and you want to order some of these bags, adding this accessory would save you from having to order an additional system from Sawyer. And then also it has this vertical flow attachment along with some garden hose adapters. These are good if you want to add some sort of drinking water safe hose. The spouts that I mentioned a second ago, all of them do have valves on them, so that you can turn those on and off. You don't have to mess with raising the bag upright to get them to shut off or anything like that. You can just turn them off straight from that spout. And if you visit their website and use the code DIYPrepper at checkout, you'll get 10% off of your purchases, and you'll also help support the channel a little as well. Food grade buckets are another good choice, provided they're clean when you fill them up. And if you have food stored in those buckets, like in 1 gallon or smaller size Mylar bags, it might be worth it to just kind of take those out, put them somewhere safe, and then use those buckets for additional water storage. I probably would not mess with taking out like the big 5-gallon bucket liners or anything like that. You should probably also fill up any reasonably clean non-food grade buckets as well. You're not going to use this water for drinking, but you can use it for other things like flushing your toilet, provided the whole system isn't backing up. I mean, if the whole system's backing up, then you want to clog that sucker. That's one thing that my family did during the 2021 Texas ice storm, is we went ahead and we filled up a bunch of our Home Depot buckets, and then we kind of put them aside in case we ran out of water in our bathtub, so that we would still be able to flush our toilet. And putting lids on those buckets is a good idea, since it'll help prevent bugs and other debris from getting inside. For larger scale water storage, things like aquapods and water bobs, they are excellent choices for keeping any water that you put in your bathtub clean. And if y'all have seen the movie The Road, when the man figured out that something really bad was happening, one of the first things that he did was fill up his bathtub with water. And that's an excellent idea, because bathtubs, they can hold a lot of water. I mean, you think your average bathtub holds, I think, around 42 gallons or something like that. But the only problem with keeping water in your bathtub is that your tub has different chemicals in it, it has a bunch of germs, and it might have other debris as well that you definitely don't want to drink. And those kind of bathtub liners, they protect your water from those contaminants, and they also do a good job of preventing mosquitoes and other insects from taking up residence in your home. And that's a very big concern where I live. I mean, we have mosquitoes probably 3 seasons of the year. We probably don't have them during the coldest parts of winter most of the time, but pretty much any other time of the year here in the southern United States, mosquitoes are a big problem. So things like those water bobs are excellent. And also, do not forget that you probably still have some water in your hot water heater. So be sure that you have the tools that you need to access that water if water utilities go out. And when it comes to collecting water after the fact, you still have some options even if you don't have a full rainwater harvesting system. You can use things like large plastic totes to collect water, and if you have some tarps that you can set up to help channel that water into the totes, then you can collect even more. You can use the rainfly on your tent for the same purpose. You can just set up your tent and then set up the rainfly so where it channels water into that plastic tote. Trash cans are another thing that can help you collect some additional water, but I would recommend using some sort of liner, whether it's a large trash bag, tarp, or plastic sheeting. Don't use scented trash bags, but it's important to remember a lot of those materials are not food safe, so you might want to set that water aside for things like flushing toilets or cleaning tasks. Hanging up towels outside during a rainstorm is another good way to collect some additional water. Just be sure that you don't do it if the wind's blowing like crazy, because your towels will blow away. But you just let them soak up water, bring them in, wring them out into a container, set them back outside, and you'll probably be able to do that several times if the rain shower lasts for any amount of time. Now, I strongly recommend that y'all check out my How to Diversify Your Water Storage video, and I'll be sure to put a playlist card here for all of my other water related videos as well. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.